What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Who is the true threat even though Will and Electra hit the skids over Luna? It's safe to assume that when Will eventually gets around to telling her what happened the night of his promotion party, she will freak out on him, especially since Bold and Beautiful has had Electra raving to everyone that would listen that he is the ideal boyfriend. Not that she should. After purposefully over-serving him, Luna used a mask to sneak into his room and rape him. However, based on the previews for the upcoming week, it appears like Electra will not be considering any of that. However, it is wait for it Lainey who is the real danger to Will and Electra's relationship, not Luna or the child she is carrying. What on earth is Lainey? Remember Lainey? Come on. She is the stunning employee of Forrester Creations that struck up a conversation with Will during the Giardino party. Since Electra saw how into her guy the redhead was, she is positive that she remembers Lainey. Additionally, Will might be tempted by the non-psychotic knockout who seems to have feelings for him if he and Electra were to part ways, even for a short time. We couldn't really blame him either. Electra is beautiful, not that she isn't. Simply said, assuming you understand what we mean, there isn't a lot of there in her writing. Her only topics of conversation are Will, jewelry, and the plot summary. She is a hazy concept of a character rather than a real one. To make sure we know Will is completely smitten with Electra, the program has gone to considerable lengths. However, the bloom may peel off the rose if she responds to his news as negatively as it seems she will. How could he desire a relationship with a young woman who would hold the victim of sexual assault responsible for the abuse? That might be a deal-breaker, allowing Lainey to intervene and provide Will with a shoulder to depend on. Will, please spit it out. Okay, so it literally took Will Spencer of the Bold and the Beautiful more than 2 days to tell Electra a brief but intricate story, and he hasn't even reached the worst part yet, that the woman he had sex with, against his will, was Luna, who now claims to be carrying his child. However, how agonizing was it to hear Will attempt to be honest with Electra, something he began doing last Friday. We really wanted Will to get on with it so we could finally see that innocent smile go away as Electra stood there grinning in her pink, pure, and ideal ice cream cone clothing. Electra is far too trusting and too sweet, which is why her top is adorned with ice cream cones. Will should have told Electra weeks ago if Katie hadn't stepped in and given her son horrible advice, but it took her a very long time to understand what he was trying to say. Is Electra going to bolt from the room before Will has a chance to tell her the rest? Will had slept with one girl, after all, and the next day he took her virginity. Even if Will is the victim in this situation, he still ought to have held back or told Electra the truth before ever taking that potentially fatal action. The Bold and the Beautiful is set to relentlessly explore the question of who is the real threat to Will Spencer and Electra Forrester's relationship, despite the Luna Nozawa scandal and the shocking revelation of what actually happened at Will's promotion party. The answer is not immediately apparent. The previews and the established soap logic indicate that the real cracks in Will and Electra's romance won't come from Luna's cunning or even from the child she claims to be carrying, even though her deliberate betrayal, over-serving Will with alcoholic beverages, hiding behind a mask, and taking advantage of him in his hotel room, should be the kind of thing that ends a relationship forever. No, the true threat is closer to home and takes the shape of Lainey, the gorgeous employee of Forrester Creations who attracted Will's attention during the Giardino party and left an impact that neither he nor Electra can forget. Lainey's threat is more subdued and subtle than Luna's, who acted in a criminal and manipulative manner. It stems from chemistry, temptation, and the notion of a better match, all of which soap opera writers love to take advantage of. In addition, Lay will be ready to fill in as the shoulder Will never knew he needed if Electra responds negatively to his confession by accusing him of being the victim of sexual assault, downplaying his suffering, or just not showing him the sympathy he deserves. Let's now examine the many facets of this drama and see why Lainey, rather than Luna, may end up being the real factor separating Will and Electra. First, the commotion that ensued was caused by the promotion party. Will was enjoying his career success and was unaware that he was going to be taken by surprise. Cunning and perilous, Luna utilized disguise and booze to plan a night that would alter everything. In addition to being intoxicated, Luna's planned cruelty deprived Will of his agency and consent, causing him to become purposefully incapacitated. The stakes are only increased by the fact that she now says she is pregnant. Despite the severity of this tragedy, Will's reluctance to tell Electra the truth develops into a separate storyline. Weeks passed as he hemmed and hawed, as Katie's bad advice confused his decisions, and as Electra, blissfully oblivious to the bomb that was about to be dropped, drifted through scenes in her girlish innocence and ice cream cone attire. And it hurts like watching someone attempt to remove a bandage in painfully slow motion when he eventually starts telling her. Just this hesitation can cause Electra to lose faith in him. However, her response to the news, rather than the act itself, is the true turning moment. Despite her gentleness, Electra is one-dimensional. As many have pointed out, her role is frequently reduced to chirping about jewelry, Will, or whatever storyline synopsis she has been given to deliver. She has been portrayed as Will's ideal girlfriend, the one who makes him feel loved and respected, but that facade is flimsy. Electra will probably flinch when Will eventually tells her the truth, that Luna intentionally abused him, that he never gave his consent, and that a pregnancy may now jeopardize their future. She might target her ire at Will for not telling her sooner, for allowing himself to be placed in that situation, or even for obtaining her virginity later without telling her what had happened, rather than expressing her wrath at Luna's treachery. Will is innocent during the attack, but his subsequent quiet is used as a plot point. And Electra's pedestal will fall in his eyes if she is unable to distinguish victim from circumstance and if she places the blame on him instead of standing by him. And Lainey's presence becomes even more hazardous when that occurs. Electra is not everything that Lainey is. Lainey is sophisticated, whereas Electra is naive. Lainey feels mature, grounded, and real, in contrast to Electra, who is portrayed as a paper-thin perfect girlfriend. Their initial encounter in Giardino was foreshadowing, not merely a pointless encounter. Electra was frightened when she saw the spark between her lover and the redhead right away. She noticed how Will's smile became brighter, how Lainey's gaze lingered, and how naturally the discussion flowed. The writers sowed the seed at that precise moment. Lainey is neither naive like Electra nor insane like Luna. She is the lady who could actually establish a deeper connection with Will. She is the midway ground. Furthermore, Lainey will be there to provide him with the empathy, maturity, and comprehension that Electra is unable to provide if she is unable to step up when he most needs her. And Will himself is the other layer. He is a young, gifted, driven individual who is at a turning point in his personal life. He will be changed by the trauma Luna imposed on him. It has already done so. Someone who doesn't just smile nicely and seem like everything is wonderful is what he needs. Someone who can help him digest it. Will might feel alone, even confined, if Electra is unable to do that. And then Lainey fills that gap. She might be the one to listen to him without passing judgment, to acknowledge his suffering, and to support him in moving on. Furthermore, any passionate relationship is less perilous than that emotional bond, particularly in soap operas. Because the relationship that Will and Lainey develop may surpass any romanticized romance he had with Electra once he starts confiding in her and depends on her for support. This is the point at which the plot really shines. The incident appears to be related to Luna's pregnancy. Everyone will demand paternity testing, dispute, and gasp. The emotional drama, which is the real core of the narrative, however, is about how Will and Electra deal with his tragedy and if Electra's superficial personality can handle the pressure. Lainey will be there if she falters, and because it is not coerced, her threat is much more powerful. It is realistic, organic, and based on real chemistry. Although viewers can acknowledge that Will may reject Electra if she breaks his confidence, they can equally hope that he will find comfort in someone like Lainey, who stands for a new beginning. Luna's plot will probably take a different turn in the interim. She will be forced into villain territory once her deceptions are discovered and her machinations are exposed. She will no longer be a romantic rival, even though she may hold onto Will's child as her final hope. As the chaotic force that destabilizes everything but no longer poses a romantic threat, her function will change from that of a temptress to that of an enemy. With Luna acting as the outside storm, Electra, Will, and Lainey have the real love triangle dynamic. Who is the actual threat, then? Despite her terrible deeds, it isn't Luna. Although that will make things more difficult, it isn't the baby. It's Lainey, the surprise redhead who attracts Will's interest without the need of disguises or coercion. When his supposedly ideal girlfriend fails him, she might be the one to provide him with the understanding he so desperately needs. Even though Electra is kind, she might not be enough for Will in the long run, and Lainey's presence guarantees that their relationship is only temporary.